Hello everyone, I'm Justin Altihada, BS Ed 1B, and for today's video, we are going to discuss the effective intercultural communication and the two more cultural differences that affect communication between those East and West. But before we proceed to our discussion, let us first define the intercultural communication. So, what is intercultural communication? Intercultural communication refers to the communication between people from different cultures. It is a symbolic, interpretative, transactional, contextual process in which people from different cultures create shared meaning. Effective intercultural communication. By now, it should be clear now how important it is to be culturally aware and culturally sensitive when navigating intercultural communication. How it is important to be culturally aware. By being culturally aware, you can recognize and appreciate other people's beliefs, customs, and values to interact with them without prejudice or judgment. The key is to be aware of the existence of culturally differences and managing such differences. What is cultural differences? Cultural differences refer to the variation observed between people engaging in a conversation due to differences in their values, beliefs, norms, and behavior. Here are two more cultural differences that affect communication between those from the East and West, along with some suggestions as to how to find a middle ground. Directness versus circumlocution. What is circumlocution? A mode of speaking characterized by difficulty or inability in finding the right word to identify or explain an object that has been perceived and recognized. It involves the use of variety of words or phrases that indirectly communicate the individual's meaning. On the other hand, circumlocution is the use of many words to express an idea that could be expressed in a few words. As mentioned earlier, brevity, clarity, and directness of communication are favored in American and British culture. As Chan, 1999, explained it. This means that message, an idea, or request should be conveyed to the audience or recipient clearly and in as few words as mandatory. For example, when communicating a refusal or rejection to listeners, ASEAN should avoid circumlocution or indirectness and instead state a polite yet clear no. On the other hand, a Westerner communicating with someone from Asia should be aware of the latter culture's valuing of interpersonal harmony or smooth interpersonal relationship. For instance, when an American communicates in a typically direct way to a Filipino, this can be viewed as too brutally frank, an approach according to Pascasio 1999. Pascasio paraphrases Franklin's definition of smooth interpersonal relationship as a facility or getting along with others in such a way as to avoid outward signs of conflict. Pascasio 1999. The American who is aware of the value of smooth interpersonal relationship can then make an attempt to both clearly convey a rejection but also soften this with buffers, for instance, an explanation or good news preceding the outright no. Personal friendly language versus respectful language. Chan calls attention to the emphasis in Western context on using friendly and personal rather than impersonal language in the workplace. Employers and employees are encouraged to use personal pronouns such as I, you, me, and we in writing. She says that objective of this is the establishment of rapport between communicator and audience. For example, in American workplace, colleges are encouraged to use first name when conversing with each other and even with their employers. However, in Asia, the use of formal titles is a way of showing respect for someone considered superior in age, economic status, education, and profession. In the Philippines, for example, the dropping of a title in favor of using the first name of someone older and higher in rank is considered rude or disrespectful. Pascasio notes that informal addresses are used only with peers or those of lower status such as the rank and file. Speakers from this context are therefore conscious of addressing people with title or labels such as boss, doctor, president, attorney, manager, judge, engineer, commissioner, and professor. For intellectual communication to be effective, writers and speakers from both Eastern and Western contexts should be familiar with these conventions. They may either adjust to the culture and mode of addresses of the other, or choose to not to take offense because they understand the culture that drives the linguistic convention. One final example is the effusive and sometimes exaggerated humility displayed in the professional correspondence of Filipinos, as seen in the phrases, "Your good office." I will be eternally grateful for your assistance. And ubiquitous, by the word ubiquitous, it means existing or being everywhere at the same time. More power to you. A Filipino writing to an American may choose to omit this, knowing it is unnecessary and even confusing for the American reader. An American writing to a Filipino should also know that, according to Alzona Encarnacion, quoted in Pascasio 1999, bluntness or brusqueness of speech is frowned upon, being regarded as a sign of ill breeding, and such as can make an effort to extend more courtesy in his or her. Synthesis. Gloria S. Chan says that intercultural communication is more challenging than intracultural communication because there is greater mastery of one's own language and culture. Yet, for intercultural communication to be effective, adaptation to a culture different from one's own are necessary. One also needs to abide by the culture norms and standard English emphasis of the users of language. And that's it for our discussion. I hope you learned and thank you for listening and watching.